All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of Livingston Parish Council. It's our regular meeting. It's Thursday, January 12th. It's 10 minutes after 6. And I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for the invocation. Mr. DeLatte.
Please bow your heads. Almighty Father, we thank you for the new year 2023. I ask you, Lord, to bless this council and all Livingston Parish residents as we begin this blessed new year with the renewed hope in you, Lord, our Savior. Lord, we thank you so much for all that you have done. Your blessings are greatly appreciated. Lord, remind this council of our truest values and help us to live in the goodness that comes from doing what you need us to do, Lord. We pray in your name, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Talbot, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mine's not.
We'll just start manually and just...
Yeah, I'm going to start. All right, so Ms. Sandy, roll call, please.
Mr. Talbot?
Here. Oh, we're not using a machine?
This ain't up yet.
We're trying to get them up.
Oh, man.
Here.
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 Garlinghouse?
Here.
Mr. Ard?
Here.
Ms. Sandifer? Here. Mr. McMorris?
Here.
Mr. DeLatte?
Here.
All right, before we do the election, I want to remind everybody about your cell phones. Please turn them off or mute them. I need to do that with mine.
Don't ever come off of that.
All right, since it's a new year, the first thing we do in the new year is we elect a chair and co-chair. Before we do, I'd like to thank this council for giving me the opportunity to serve as a chair in this last year. It was a very interesting year for all of us.
Yeah.
We did a lot of work this year. We went through a lot of things, and you know, I did my best to try to keep control of the chaos and tried not to really get involved with the discussion so I could control the meetings. And I mean, I hope I did what y'all wanted me to do as the chairman, and I appreciate the opportunity.
I want to just say you did a great job, Jeff. You really did. Did a real good job.
Thank you.
Kept it going.
Yeah, I wanted to say that too, Jeff. You know, you had to deal with a lot this past year, and you really showed good leadership skills. I'm very proud of you, and just thank you for all your service.
He's all right.
All right.
Yes,
All right. All right. So now we'll go to nominations for chair. Mr. Talbot?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Girlinghouse for chair.
I like.
Mr. Black?
I don't have the machine. You just tell them, huh?
Yeah.
I'd like to nominate Mr. John Wascom as chair.
Any more nominations?
Well, it's certainly an honor to be the chairman. I've done it, and Mr. Wascom has done it as well. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to letting someone new do it. So, I'd like to nominate Mr. DeLatte for the chair.
Thank you for the nomination, Tracy, but I like to decline that.
Any other nominations? All right. Do we have it where we can vote, or we need to?
Wait.
Mine's not going to be in.
Can I make a comment before we vote?
Certainly.
That's out of
We got the call for the vote.
that call for a vote.
Let's roll.
Call for the vote first.
Yep.
First vote will be from Mr. Garlinghouse.
Thank you.
Second. We got,
Mr. Golden House accepted, or the chairman is now John Wascom?
Yeah, no, so we'll-
That's what we're trying to find out.
yeah.
He didn't accept because he wanted you
He
to
didn't
be-
accept, then John Wascom's chairman now.
I do accept the nomination for chairman.
Well, I mean, I'm going to accept the nomination.
Okay, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we just vote.
okay.
That before we vote on the chairman, if somebody has an issue with the chairman, they can't speak, a member of this body can't speak and explain that to the other members of the body?
Well, do I have the floor? Can I get the
Yes,
floor?
you can answer that.
Okay. I'm saying Robert Rules of Order says that when you nominate a person for chairman, you do not need a second, and you call for a vote after those nominations are done. I would like to make a motion that we close the nomination process now and vote.
So
That's a question for the legal one.
Yes, so Brad, you,
And I second that.
I guess we'll have to ask you on that is,
Yeah, I mean, so the nominations do not require a second, and typically there's no discussion either. It's just voted on.
all right. So, I guess we'll go first nomination that was first. We'll vote for Mr. Garlinghouse first.
The first nomination, the first person to accept the nomination.
He accepted it first, so we need to,
Can I ask that we do a division vote, and that's either by paper ballot or
we,
go?
I mean, it doesn't
My
matter.
machine's not showing up.
You can just name the person.
Just name the person, is the easiest way to do
Just
it.
start.
yeah, we can just go down, we can go down the line and everybody
Go down and
just
name the
say the
person.
name of the person that they want. We got two names up here.
I don't know what mine
So you can either say.
Do it like that?
Yep, you can either say Mr. Garlinghouse or Mr. Wascom. Is that good with you, Sandy?
is not working
All
either.
right, so we'll start with Mr. Talbot first.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Wascom.
Myself, John Wascom.
Myself.
Mr. Ord.
Garlinghouse.
Wascom.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Where's the paper, man? Who's taking the picture?
Hold on, we just gotta give her the iPads while she's gotta swap her stuff over. We can get it.
Oh, mine's working now.
Yeah, they came up. It was right after,
Y'all up now.
then it came
How
up.
you wanna do it, like this?
That sounds good. Say cheese.
Cheese. All right, tag you it, brother.
Thanks, man.
Gracious Chair, you're spine.
That's all right, we got time. It's only 2.5 hours long.
We'll go ahead and do the,
Pass me the,
we'll do co-chair, like we just
I'll
did
do it,
that,
I'll
give
do
her
it.
time to swap our
all right.
iPads.
I would like to continue the meeting and accept nominations for co-chair for 2023.
I nominate Mr. Scooter King.
We have a nomination on the floor from the council from Mr. Scooter King.
Nomination for Randy Dillette.
There's a nomination for Mr. Randy Dillette. Is there any more nominations? I hereby close the nominations. Let's call for, since there's just two, I guess we can do it the same way. Mr. Talbot, I'll start with you since you're on the far right.
Mr. King.
Mr. King.
Myself.
Keen's vote for herself.
Delatt.
Dillette? Mr. King. King. Mr. Dillette?
Delatt.
Dillette.
Dillette.
Mr. Dillette, welcome to the co-chair.
You wanna stay down here? I'll go down there.
Who we can move?
Let him sit right here.
Yeah.
Randy?
You wanna go down there? I'll go down there. Hey, Shane said he wanted to go down there, so we'll just slide.
Okay. A big Zach will make it be co-chair over there.
Yeah, me and you, we'll just slide down, if it's okay with you, Tracy.
I want to sit by you.
Shane's gonna come down there.
Yeah, since we're going to be stuck here for a whole year, if you want to pick a chair, this is a good time to get your seat placed.
It's the best seat in the house right here.
It pretty much is.
He gets
No,
paid
I
the
think-
most, that's a fact.
Also, we had number 8 as presentations, Miss Valerie Hodges. I don't know that she's here tonight, so we'll,
Somebody's here to speak for her.
oh, I'm sorry.
We can do that.
Mine, I just wrote my name on mine, so. That's his, I think, yeah. That's mine's over here, I got it.
Well, congratulations to to all the new seated members. Mr. President.
So much.
Mr. President, Valerie Hodges sends her apologies, but she was unable to make it tonight. I also sit on the Human Trafficking Commission. January is the Human Trafficking Month for Louisiana, as declared by the governor. Representative Hodges formed this task force 10 years ago. We've made some great strides. The laws in Louisiana are among the top 3 stringent laws in trafficking in the United States. We even beat Texas. So without any further ado, it's 2 types of trafficking that I'm here to talk about briefly. One is labor trafficking, which we have here in our parish, where people are forced to perform labor for either free or lower wages. The other one is sex trafficking. And I can tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Lawrence Callender. I'm retired as the commander of the Homeland Security Investigations Task Force, federal agency that one of their charges is trafficking. And we do have trafficking of both kinds in Livingston Parish. And I'm going to have some, I think you got them all passed out? Good. Some little posters from our state commission.
That's these right here.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Thank you.
We've collectively, state, federal, and local law enforcement have arrested almost 1,000 people in 2021 of both of these kinds of trafficking. That's a drop in the bucket. We have 2 different sections of trafficking. We have the folks that come across the border that's open, and they're preyed upon when they get over here, whether it's sexually or whether it's through labor trafficking. Little girls as young as 12, 13 years old, they're put into trafficking, and they have to, and they're taken all across the country. And they're here in Livingston Parish. Also, sex trafficking is prominent in the schools. Most people don't realize that 5,000 people in the United States were arrested in 2021 for sex trafficking. How does that happen? Look at your social media platforms. These young children, they all have cell phones. And when you look at Snapchat and any of your social media platforms, the gaming platforms where they have the chat rooms, no worries. They get groomed, so to speak, and recruited, and they really don't know what's happening. They're young, and before you know it, you're not going to see them anymore. They're gone. And you see it in the paper all the time where a little girl's missing. Well, it's not just little girls. About 19% of the sex trafficked people are little boys. So I would urge everybody that this is some really good information, great numbers to call. If you get confused on what to call 911. We have an excellent 911 center here, and they know just what to do in a trafficking incident. They have answered many calls. We've made several arrests right here in Livingston Parish. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm available. Look, I'm available. Most Valerie is available. Yes, sir. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Our task force that we had here had 50 members. Even Mark Harrell was part of our task force in arresting people. We had several arrests here. The largest case in the United States was an operation called Safe Haven back in 2015. It came through Livingston Parish. We worked it for many months. We shut it down in Livingston Parish. But you shut one down, just like the drugs, there's another one to come take its place. And we're here. I'm retired from HSI as a commander, but I'm still in the game, and I'm here to help because I don't want to have to go find another little girl.
Can you give us your name again?
Lawrence Callender, C-A-L-L-E-N-D-E-R.
Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, I want to say, I apologize for the little bit of the chaos while you were first talking. We were just trying to shuffle around.
Chaos. It's okay.
But I want you to know, we feel strongly about your passion and your progress in this situation, and we really appreciate all your hard work.
There's a lot of people. Sheriff Ard is on top of this, as all the law enforcement agencies, but Sheriff Ard has a very good program. We've worked with him on many occasions, and he thinks so much of it, he's got one of his deputies in all the schools now.
Yes.
And so that's a good thing. So we need to get this information out to the schools. We're available to talk to the schools, to the parents, and that's really where it's at. If we can just stop them from being recruited. Because they're online, they think they're talking to another 15-year-old, and it's not a 15-year-old. You know?
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Well,
Mark, thank you for the task force help too.
Thank you.
The next item on the Next item on the agenda is number 9. This is for, it's a 3-part thing that we need to do for each particular item. December 10th, 2022 Council on Aging parish-wide election results. The first thing we need to do for each one of these is a declaration of process verbal. Real quick, back in Latin terms, it was something por se procabal, or what that meant was allowed for the reading of the results of the election. At the time when there was illiteracy, people couldn't write and read. It allowed for just a verbal pronouncing or proclamation of the election results. And so for that declaration of process verbal, which is what that means, for the Council on Aging tax, there was 2,015 votes for and 949 votes against. The second part of this that's required is an adoption of a resolution canvassing the returns of the election and the process of what I just done, process verbal. So what would be in order now is a resolution accepting those results from that election. Motion by Mr. Zachary, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. And the last part of that would be the introduction of an ordinance to direct the renewal. Oh, whew, this is going to, can we finish this out with Colin instead of?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to have to, because my computer still ain't
Yeah,
working.
if we finish this out with just manual calling for the votes. And the last part would be the introduction of ordinance that I believe Ms. Sandy may have to read by title. It's directing the renewal of the levy and collection of an ad valorem tax, 2 mills for a period of 10 years for the purpose of paying the cost programs for the elderly citizens of Louisiana, including services, operations, capital improvements, equipment, and other lawful expenses related thereto. Sandy, do you still need to read that, or did I just read it? So
We got to do it separate votes.
I got a question. The process verbal on 9A says that there were 6,289 votes cast, 3,900 for, and I don't know, some more, let's see, in favor, 6,289 in favor, 3,908 against. Is that outside, is that in the whole quad area, or is that
Yeah.
just in Livingston Parish?
on 9A, it gives you a breakdown of every precinct. If you looked at your packet.
I mean, I understand, John, if you read the process verbal and look at the numbers on it, they don't match the numbers on the total tally. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the process verbal, and it,
Council on Aging process verbal results for December 10th, 2022, it says that there was 6,289 votes cast in favor and 3,908 votes cast against. And if you go to the tally sheet, at the end, there was 2,015 in favor
No,
and
that's
900.
absentee. That's absentee, Mr.
Oh, it's absentee.
That's
on the last
absentee.
That's
page.
only absentee?
Okay,
That's
okay.
absentee.
so if you have the correct number, you're welcome to say it.
No, I'm looking at the,
Wanna make
I'm
sure it's
looking at the
right.
whole tally sheet.
Okay, all right.
The whole tally sheet here,
Yeah. I don't think they tallying them up on the
okay, they don't
breakdown.
have a tally.
On the
The
breakdown.
numbers you read was different than what was on the process verbal. That's why I just
Correct.
asked. I mean,
Correct.
I went and looked and it didn't make sense. That's why I
It
was
says
asking.
it in, underneath that tally, Gary, it says it in that first paragraph what the total
Okay,
is.
so the number is on the correct number, not the number John read out.
See that first paragraph
Okay,
underneath that
that's fine.
tally
I
is
understand.
correct.
I just want to make sure we were correct. on
Thanks,
it.
Mr. John. I think it passed, though.
Okay, well, anyway, I just need a motion to adopt the ordinance or
I'll make
introduce
that motion.
an introduction.
I'll second.
Okay, and I guess we technically don't need an introduction, but all in favor, what's Sandy?
Okay, I need to, after it's read in the record, I need to give it a number and give it a public hearing date. Is that
Okay, you want to do that now?
Yes.
Go ahead.
2301, and the public hearing will be at 6 PM, January 26th.
All right, well, it's,
Art made the motion, and
I'll second. Mr. Red Ever.
I didn't hear it.
introduced. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
We haven't done that yet.
to go back to the resolution.
Sure. Oh,
The resolution was 9B.
Yeah. that's-
the resolution was 9B, yes. You need
I
a,
had Mr. Delat made the motion, and Mr. Garlinghouse made the second.
didn't-
that's correct. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That resolution carries also then. And then the ordinance is introduced. You good? The next item is number 10. It's the same basic thing, declaration of process verbal. I've got 1974, 999 against. Mr. Talbert, you good with those numbers?
Oh, you're right.
Okay. The next part of that item would be to adopt a resolution canvassing the returns of the elections and proceed, and the process verbal. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse. Second by Mr. Hard. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None being, motion carries. Now, Ms. Sandy, you want to introduce, read by title and introduce and give it a number?
This will be proposed ordinance 2302. And it's an ordinance directing the renewal, and did you already read it? I need to read it.
I didn't read the second
Okay.
one, no.
And an ordinance directing the renewal and the levy and collection of an ad valorem of 5 mills on the dollar assessed valuation of all property subject to taxation within the geographic boundaries of the parish of Livingston, state of Louisiana, for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2023 and ending with the year 2032, for the purpose of constructing, operating, and maintaining roads and bridges within the parish. And the public hearing will be at 6 p.m. January 26th.
Thank you. I believe we've already, a motion to introduce?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse. Second by Mr. Hart. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Councilman comments? If y'all had anything you wanted to brag about the parish?
Yeah, I got a comment I want to make.
Can you save that till the last, or is it?
No, I want to make it now.
You want to do it right now? All right, go ahead, Mr. Talbert.
Last week, Watson lost a gentle giant, and he was a gentleman that was a big old man, but
Who was it?
Coach London.
Sorry, I didn't.
He was you would always see him at sporting events. He had gone to school at Live Oak, taught at Live Oak, was a principal at the middle school. He was just a fine gentleman. I had the opportunity to serve on a search committee with him one time, and a very knowledgeable individual, very well spoken, very. I just want to say gentle giant. He was just a fine individual, and we're going to miss him. And look, I bought plenty hogs from him, and they were always good. And in both of my elections, he let me put a sign in his front yard, and I will always be appreciative of that. But I just think that everybody needs to know that was a great man that passed in Watson.
We're sorry for y'all's loss, Mr. Talbert. Item 12. Oh, I'm sorry.
On the lines of that, I have to say that the Walker community lost two gentlemen like that. One was Mr. Wayne Sibley, which was a school board member for about 12 years. And he was school board member when Walker was really expanding and growing. So he put a lot of work into the Walker area. And Mr. Rudolph Craig was, he was a vice principal for Walker for a long time. So there's a lot of people that went through Walker that graduated that knew him. His son graduated with me and Tracy. Their Craig family has been a big part of Walker. And that was two men that was huge in the community of Walker that we lost. They actually went to school together, graduated high school together, went into service, served our country, and came right back here to Walker. Yep. And helped Livingston Parish grow.
Mr. Rudolph, his son Shelby told me that he had never worked anywhere besides Walker High School. He took that job out of college, and that's where he worked until he retired. Then he went to work for his son, graduated with building houses. And so he was a fine man, and Mr. Sibley too.
Mr. Latt?
Yes, I want to echo what Gary said. I knew Fred, I knew Sam also. I played basketball against both of them at the same time when they were.
You play basketball?
Yes, and believe it or not, we beat them, and they had a good team. Watson had a good team then. Live Oak, not Watson. The second thing I want to talk about is I had the opportunity to congratulate Jeff on the great job he did as chairman, but I also want to talk about Tracy. He also stepped in and done his job. But one of the hardest jobs, I think, was that ordinance committee. And he was in there doing that, battling that. So
thank you.
So anyway, I just want to say that.
Sarah? Mr. McMorris?
I'm good.
Mr. Mack? All right, item 12, adopt the minutes for the December 21st, 2022 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council. I think you've all had a copy. Mr. Girlinghouse makes the motion. Second by Mr. McMorris. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Both sets, right?
Pardon?
Both sets at one time?
I did that one, but let's do the second one as well. December 27th, special meeting. Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Ard. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries for both of them, Ms. Sandy. 13, Parish President's Report. I think
Mark was in here.
Mark was here.
There was no report.
I think he was here just for the,
Yeah, there was no report for the
yeah,
parish.
there's no.
Yeah, no
Okay.
report.
So, good to see Mr. Larry Davis back here. Good to see you. Item 14, public hearing adoption of LP ordinance 22-58, adoption of Council District 5 zoning maps. And this is under Parish President's Report. I mean, did they request this, or was this?
No, this is 14. This is a public hearing, John.
Okay.
You got to enter a public hearing.
Okay, so this, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this? None being, we'll close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. Thank y'all for catching that. Give us your name and address, please.
My name's Chris Ingram. I'm the developer of Deer Run subdivision.
Okay,
My address is 16326 Blaze Road, Prairieville.
okay.
I'm here to say a few words if I could. You know, Deer Run was approved with no waivers. It met the requirements of the ordinance in place at the time. I followed the ordinance exactly right. In fact, I've been to court twice with Chris Moody. Last week, the second time, judge ruled that we followed everything the right way. So we got 2 dismissed cases on that. I made significant strategic stage commitments and investments in this property based on the approval that was issued by this parish. I relied upon those approvals and have spent several $100,000 already. That's real money that's gone, that's been paid for. Several $100,000 for non-refundable deposits. Pretty close to $700,000 already spent and gone that cannot be recovered. I'm contractually obligated to purchase property in March. No further extension will be given by the buyer. If I buy the property with the required zoning in place, I'm exposed for millions of dollars lost. I don't know why we even consider adopting a zoning map that creates problems that will have to be cleaned up in the next few weeks. Shouldn't we just set this aside to produce a map that we can support and adopt that map? Developments that have already been secured and approved preliminary Plat 1 should be zoned in such a way that they conform with what they was approved to do. We make them non-conforming first, only to rezone them in the coming weeks, is really unnecessary delays and unnecessary expenses paid.
Thank you, Mr. Kress. I believe Ms. Sandifer had put this on, and I'm not sure what her plans are to move forward with this tonight. I'm not sure, but while we have the public hearing open, is there anyone else who wants to say anything? Is my question.
Hey, before he leaves, I'd like to ask him a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Was he finished? Was he finished?
Would you finish?
That's what I wanted to say. I mean, that's what happened, and I mean, we've already been to court twice. Chris Moody won in court twice with the lawsuit that was in place. It's been dismissed.
You made a point, sir, about losing money. How much money you said? I forget, 700,000?
I have about 700,000 right now.
And could you explain to us?
That approved spent, and I've already given my drainage study, traffic study to this parish, and paid for it. They've been reviewing it for a month or more. I'm fixing to get approval for that and be on the agenda March 1st for stage 2 plat. So I don't see how you can just say, oops, you know, let's rezone this and change it. You know.
I guess the question I want to ask you, sir, the money that you already spent, you have to spend that money to develop that piece of property, is what you're telling us?
I already spent it.
You already
to
spent
follow
it.
your rules, which I followed all the
Yes,
rules.
sir.
I had to spend that much money.
So
to
if
do
it's
all
zoned differently, you saying your project can't happen? Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. You against it or for it, for the map? Against the map or
I
for the
can't have
map?
a 1 acre lot development when it was 2.5 lots per acre when I
And that's what we're
purchased it.
talking about then, sir? Is that?
Yes, sir. The
Yes, sir.
density, just can't work.
That map is R2, by the way. The map that the public hearing is on, that property is zoned as R2 currently.
Which is how many lots per lot?
So how many lots is on?
That's 4 lots per acre.
Somebody's telling me it's on 1. Maybe I misunderstand, but I was told back here. but-
That subdivision that you are proposing, Deer Run, that was been approved, what are the lot widths in there? What do they range from?
52 feet wide.
How wide?
52?
That's the smallest lot you have is 52
No,
foot?
there's a few that's 40.
There's a few that are 40? So we don't even have a zone, I mean, we basically don't, what's the smallest residential lot that we have in our zoning as it's set forth?
You're 50.
I don't know. 50. You got 50s all over the parish.
We cannot, when we have approved a subdivision, we don't even have a zoning area for it. I mean, look, I'm gonna be quite honest. I was very impressed when initially all these zoning maps were being approved. I'm like, dude, those guys are working way harder than I am. And then I realized that, dude, we don't even know what's there. We approved something, we put something up that's R2, and it's got 40-foot lots been approved by the parish already.
Look,
This is R2 zone now with 40-foot lots?
The map that the public hearing is on, it is currently zoned
That you
R2.
put up, that you...
Yes, sir.
Well,
So that's what you want, ain't it?
why am I being told R1?
No, but R2 residential is, what's the lot size on R2? It's got a minimum lot size, doesn't it?
Shane, what is it, Shane?
He's grandfathered in currently. He's currently grandfathered in, so there is no issue.
Hey, hold on. Listen what you just said. Hold on.
Brad, I mean, we've talked about this before, so my question is, are we gonna say that he's non-conforming, or do we need to make the map match the property?
So as far as it concerns this gentleman and his development, he's already been approved, he's already spent money, he's gotten his permits already. So according to the Palermo case, which is one we always go back to, he can still proceed. It's not going to be any issue for him.
Understand, so he has a
But with 1
development
acre
that,
lots on the map.
so he had, how many acres?
I think he wants 4, and that's what he's got to do.
No, I mean, but Mr. Ingram, how many acres did he have?
How many acres do I have?
And the development?
1,345.
Okay, so we're all 1,345 subject, I mean, they were all part of the development, so they're all exempt from the zoning that's set forth as R2?
That development is exempt.
The whole entire development.
I did it all.
As submitted.
Yeah.
The plats that have been turned in and approved are the
Okay.
ones that are allowed to proceed.
Okay.
Okay.
So why would we not zone it to meet the development instead
That will
of,
probably need to be done, just not necessarily for him, but just so the zoning map matches what's actually going on.
The problem I have is I have to close on it in 60 days, and it's been back and forth, and so, I feel like a slinky since
my
January.
question is, why do we approve a map that we know is not accurate?
I mean, the map can be amended, and if you guys want to table it and approve it later, it's up to y'all, Either way you go about doing it, it's not going to affect him. I'm with you, I hear you. It's not going to, either way you go about it, it won't affect him or his
And
development.
then approve it later.
But you're right, at some point, that area of the map needs to be changed.
If we could close the public hearing, if you don't mind, I think Ms. Sanford's going to settle that issue tonight
Can I
for you
read it?
guys, so we can get on the roll
But you can
with
speak, but
the,
the public hearing's still open,
Okay.
otherwise you have to reopen it. So,
Can I read it in the record real fast?
yeah.
This is proposed ordinance 22-58, an ordinance to certify the official zoning map of the unincorporated areas of Council District 5 in the parish of Livingston entitled Livingston Parish Zoning Map, Council District Number 5, referred to in Chapter 117 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances.
What did that mean?
Yeah, I can't even understand.
What did it mean?
I think what he's saying is essentially the preliminary plat and what was submitted has been passed. It's through.
Yes,
Right,
So he's grandfathered in.
correct.
that's what I'm saying.
As long as he stays within the guidelines of what he has been permitted right now,
Yeah, we're not
he
changing.
can do it.
Correct.
And there's nothing we can do.
Correct.
Nothing, and I wouldn't want to. Now, if you have to make a change that's significant, that could be a problem.
Okay, but
We have to come back.
here's my point. The gentleman needs to close on a piece of property. He
Sure.
has been approved. It has got a density and lot size of A and B, whatever they are. Why would we put forth a R2 that doesn't conform to what he's building?
I mean, but you don't have, do we, look, I'm not arguing for or against this. I'm just saying, we don't have a designation that would fit him.
Well, I understand.
So you just,
R3 does fit.
All right, 1 second, Mr. Mack.
No, I don't want to cut in front of anybody.
That's okay.
Is it time for the councilman to talk? But I
We've
just,
already been talking.
there was a question about minimum width lot for R2. The answer is 60. I just looked it up. And then R3 is 40. But one thing I wanted to say, and this is just my interpretation, is that if it was zoned R1, R2, right? But you're already grandfathered in, you're already pre-approved, right? So you're good to go as long as all the rules are continually followed and there's no resubmittal. I think you need to understand that before you sign on that property, to purchase that property, because it's my interpretation as a councilman that has been on the ordinance committee quite a few years, that if you are required to resubmit, okay, then you're going to be required to follow all of the new rules, okay,
I'm not gonna resubmit.
which would include the zoning requirements, the width requirements on how it is voted on, I guess you could say, when the map's adopted. You see what I'm saying? So that's my interpretation. So I just wanted to state that as you move forward with closing on this property, that like you said, if you're grandfathered in, you're grandfathered in, and you're already approved, and you're moving on, and you're moving forward, and all this kind of stuff, and you're not required to resubmit, then you're good to go regardless of how it's zoned. And then one day, once the construction is complete, then it could be modified back to meet the R3. But for right now, if she zones at R2 or if she zones at R1, my interpretation would be that if you were to resubmit, that you would have to follow those zoning requirements. Okay.
Change or the whole map?
Well, if you're required to resubmit, if there's significant change, that type of thing. So you might want to look into that pretty heavily, before you purchase that property. But that's just my interpretation. And I just wanted to make sure, seem like an honest, good man trying to do what's right. I just want to make sure you understand that that's a possibility, that you may have to adhere to that new zoning requirements, if you have to resubmit, because you have to follow all of the new rules, all of the new laws, if you have to resubmit, because that's basically written into the ordinance.
Let me ask you this. So R2 is a 60-foot lot.
It is.
Just 1 moment, okay? Go ahead.
So R2 is a 60-foot lot, which is what she's requesting, right? This development's got some 40s and 52s.
Right.
That meets R3. So
Right.
why don't we just clear the air and make it R3, and it's done. It matches the map that we approved already.
Because you have to make amendment.
Hold on, go ahead, let Larry talk.
Yeah, listen.
Would that open the whole development up to 8 lots, 8 homes per acre, if I zone the whole thing R3?
And we just gonna do the 40-foot lots, the ones that we, whatever's approved there now is all we're looking for. I just need to be assured before I go spend, this project is over $10 million. I have to purchase it in 60 days. I don't have a choice. I didn't spend almost $700,000. So I have to close on it no matter what. So I want to be assured that what we've done here is right, and I don't want anything to pop up later like what he's talking about, because I thought it was R1, which is 1 acre lots, and I know that can't work. We already got it approved. We've been to court twice in one. Judge said, Miss Aaron, the lady judge said, we follow all the rules. Even the other attorney, the opposing attorney, said the same thing. So I just want it to be zoned according to what's approved. That
You have a
makes
way of
sense. I think.
resolving this tonight, you think, or?
Doesn't that make sense to approve exactly what you already approved?
I want to make a motion to amend Mr. Ingram's piece of property from R2 to R3.
Ms. Sanford, that's your district. What would you like?
No, that's my district, and no.
Unless there's no second.
That's what I said.
So why would we say no? I'm just asking. Can I ask that? Why would we say no to something that's already been approved? I'm just asking. I'm not, if I'll write something, sign something, I ain't going to change.
You are
do no more.
grandfathered in, so it would be redundant to even make that amendment right now.
I mean,
But we on the record,
are.
we on the record, I'm grandfathered in for the way it's approved today, then I can accept
Yes.
that.
and you are. You're absolutely grandfathered into the way it is today.
That's all. I can't. I got it. I got it. What do you want? What do you want me to do? I'm trying to do what's right. This has just been a nightmare, back and forth for 1 year. It's just amazing how much has changed and things have changed. It's just a shame of what we've been through. It's just not fair. You can't ask somebody to go through a process, spend $500,000 with an engineer, do everything right, get it approved, and then get sued and you go to court, you win, and then now I can't even get it zoned according to what the judge said. It just doesn't make sense to me, but I understand.
I agree.
I mean, everybody got, politics comes into play, but I mean.
So,
Can I speak?
I just have one question.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, we have a process to do this. So, all he would have to do is come back and request to the board here, right or wrong? It'd be a request to the council, and then it'll be there. I mean, we're not going to
Why
do it
not let him
tonight.
make the request before we ever adopt it? Let's make it R3 now.
Because
So are we gonna adopt everything tonight?
Adopt it with amendments is what she was told.
Who said we can't adopt it with amendments?
Who told you that, Aaron?
Mr. Moody?
Right, I thought every ordinance could be amended and adopted. We amended yours and adopted it.
Agreed.
We amended yours and
Agreed.
adopted it.
Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
We could come back, it's okay.
I wasn't part of that conversation, but I believe what Mr. Rudy was saying.
We understand, but we got a gentleman getting ready to spend a buttload of money. He wants it clean before he spends that money. I don't know why we don't amend his piece of property to R3, which is exactly what was approved by planning,
I'll second that.
which he's done the traffic study and the drainage impact study on already.
So I'll say, so you've already made the motion,
Yeah.
and now we have a second, so now it's got to go to a vote. I was waiting on the second, and y'all kind of kept
You
running.
gotta wait till you get out, you gotta wait till you get out of public
Yeah.
hearing, though. You gotta wait till.
All right, Miss, I hate to speak for you.
Let's do this. Why don't you contact me this week,
Okay.
next week, and let's talk about this, and let's get clear and have
Are we
clarity
running a
with
police
each other?
jury or a council? We got a motion and a second.
We didn't
I'll
have a
call the
second.
question.
Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah, Scooter second. I'll call the question.
Oh,
We're still in the public hearing.
But you were sidebarring
Public hearing.
and missed it.
okay. So your motion is what, Mr. Talbot?
To amend Mr. Ingram's piece of property from R2 to R3, which is conforming with what passed plan.
There's no reason to amend it, Mr. Talbot.
All right, well, we're still in the public hearing, Scooter, so we can't accept the motion. Is anyone else to speak for or against this?
Yes, can the engineer speak, please?
We're in the public hearing. He's not.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Diamond with Quality Engineering and Surveying. First of all, we echo what Mr. Ingram has said and what Mr. Talbot has said and what Mr. Keene has seconded. It doesn't seem to make much sense to purposely put something into nonconformance from day one when it doesn't have to be. If it really is grandfathered in, if it really is going to be treated as an R3 zoning, then let's just make it R3 zoning. What's the purpose of coming back some other time to ask a council for a waiver to allow for a non-conforming use or a non-conforming lot width or lot size or density when it can be cured before the map's even in place? And furthermore, who's to say that request would even be successful before a council that wouldn't even zone it R3 in the first place? And it's also worth pointing out that this is not the only development that suffers such a disconnectedness under the zoning that's been proposed. There are other developments that are under preliminary plat approval, some by only by Planning Commission action and some by council action. That would be the same problem. That would immediately, under this proposed map, would be miszoned. There are developments out there that are under preliminary plat approval that have been through drainage study, been through traffic study, residential developments that are zoned small neighborhood business. There are office sites out there that are zoned for high-density residential. There are many inconsistencies in the map that are very, very easy to cure simply by looking through the history of the approved preliminary plats and the developments that are already under construction even.
About 100 amendments.
So I would encourage you guys to, I think that the right thing to do here is to table this, if that's possible at this point, and let's make corrections to the map based on meetings with Ms. Sandifer and with whatever council members or planning commission members would like to attend, and let's get it right the first time. And so we don't have to come back, that nobody has to come back and ask for waivers and ask for non-conforming uses.
We got a couple people to speak real quick. I'm going to save the best for last, Gary. Go ahead.
I just got one question. Did y'all come to the meeting when she held her map, rezoning map?
Town hall meeting.
The town hall meeting?
I did not attend that meeting.
Did anybody from your engineering firm come to that meeting
I do
to
not know the
stress
answer
that
to
concern?
I do not know the answer to that. I know
Okay,
members.
that's the reason I'm begging you guys to
Derek
come.
was there.
Okay. Derek was here?
Yeah.
The recommendation was made for that?
I mean, I just know he was here.
I'm asking a question, so I
was
wasn't
only
here.
here for about 30 minutes, but he was here.
I will, if the item is postponed for review, I will withdraw my motion.
And then you can work it yourself.
Table it till,
Defer for 2 weeks and fix it. You know?
Yeah, I would like to table it, but I would like to hear from the public. I would like to hear from anybody else. Somebody else wants to speak out there. I hear you.
is there
You're
anyone else
grandfathered
to
in.
speak for or against this? We're probably going to.
Free time.
Thank you. Give us your name and address, please.
Melissa Johnson, 24428 Oma Harris Lane. I live in District 5, and with all due respect, you're not the owner of the property yet. Every developer takes an inherent risk whenever they do a purchase agreement. I mean, he chose to spend $700,000 on a property that he apparently has disposable income, which is great, but there was risk involved. He knew he may not close on this property.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, discussing adopting this map. This is
You have
slightly off
something
topic.
else? Can you get to the point real quick, or do you have something else?
Yeah, that was just my point, is that, y'all are taking into consideration
Okay.
somebody who doesn't own the land yet.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else to speak? Miss Abby Crosby. Okay, I'll get back to you. Miss Abby?
Whatever happened to 3-minute rule? Okay.
It's a new year.
Sounds like it.
Oh, go there. All right, go ahead.
Hopefully the meetings will be more organized this way on out, because I remember when it was like throwing at each other. But anyway.
I didn't know if I was going to be chairman tonight. This won't happen again,
Okay.
so go ahead.
What I'm wanting to know is, I called Mr. Leighton Ricks today.
Listen.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You also speaking too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the thing is I talked to Mr. Leighton Ricks today about trying to get a map for districts, for school board, for everything, because you go to the register of voters and it's all messed up and you can't make it out, you can't blow it up, you can't see what is what, okay? I know that there's been problems. The gentleman back here, I think it was, said, I asked him if there was a map, and they said they were given to a map by somebody. The maps are still not correct 100%. There was a problem with this. I remember coming to the meetings whenever this ordinance, I think it's back in 2013, there was a ordinance for the lot sizes to be 50 feet in front, like 120 in the back, and they couldn't be no less than 5 feet from each other. But I don't know if it's been changed since then. But that's what I remember. It was a big deal, and they left it at that for the longest time. I don't remember y'all going in and changing that again. But if there was a problem with this, and this has been going on for over a year, Mr. Bubba, God help his soul, has been sick, and somebody wants to take over and be a voice for that district, then why come they didn't speak up before to try to help these people, instead of now trying to overrule somebody that's just starting, which I think is very disrespectful. That's my opinion. Okay? Also, the whole time while we're up here, I'm trying to listen to y'all and record and everything. There's talking going amongst each other, which is against Robert's Rule of Order.
Point of order. Point of order. I'm sorry, Ms. Crosby.
It's about respect. It's about
adoption
respect.
of council District 5 zoning map. That is what we're discussing.
I could not hear everything because everything that was being said. So, but I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Abbey. Thank you. Okay. Can you do us a favor and come on up? No, I got somebody behind you real quick. Try to, if you would, try to keep it on a couple minutes.
I'll keep it brief. Jeremy Glasscock, 29960 Marsh Drive, Livingston. This is only my second council meeting to ever come to. As far as the map, I think it's recently available to the public. I could be wrong. I'm looking at one section there. It's got heavy industrial, R1, R2, and agriculture all coming to a point. And I understand heavy industrial is probably somebody's existing business, and we don't want to put them out of business. But I don't know what the logics or the criteria is for R1, R2.
Right.
And I think it should be available a little longer to the public before, and y'all are talking about maybe adopting it tonight and amending it next month. Why would you adopt it tonight and amend it next month? You know, so until everybody's kind of clear, because there might be a little confusion among y'all self on the districts. Maybe you want to table it and discuss it another night. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will say too that like zoning maps, they're never perfect. They're never perfect. It's a document that changes, and it's meant to change over time. So, you know, there is no perfect map, but you have to come to a point where it's, okay, this is good enough.
We will. Is there anyone else? Okay, last, Mr. Chris, can you keep it a couple minutes?
Make it short. Just what the lady understands. I mitigated my risk and didn't spend the money till I got approval from the council.
Sure.
Then I spent all
Then you spent the money, right.
So I didn't go spend all this money not knowing I had it approved.
Right, you got the approval from the council.
Okay?
All right, I think we can close the public hearing now. There was a motion Mr. Talbot had. He was willing to pull it if this ordinance gets tabled, but if it doesn't, we'll have to have a motion and a second call for the vote.
Make a motion? I do want to make a motion to table it. I would like to speak to this real quick. I inherited this. I have made changes to this map already, but this is the map that was introduced to the public on December 8th. I have made many good changes to come. I have asked the public for quite a while for their input, and I want their input. I need your input. I serve District 5. I serve the people of District 5, and I'm going to go with what is best for them within the confines of the law. I do not want to break the law. So just know that. Now, I do make a motion to table.
Is there a second?
Wait, I want to ask a question.
We have a
Defer.
There's a difference.
You don't need a second.
Yeah. Just,
Are you okay with deferring?
Make a
Withdraw your
motion to
motion?
I think if you table, you have to reintroduce,
It's the same as
right?
tabling.
So you don't want to table it, otherwise it'll be a month.
Yeah.
If you table it, you're going to be a minimum of a month, so
The deal
defer
is
it.
she's worried, she's already been introduced. She's going to have to approve all those amendments. It might be that tabling it is actually the best thing and then start off with a new map because anything that's been done since it was introduced on the 8th's got to be amended. And if you end up with 100 or 150 different amendments, it might be better to table it and then bring back a new map for introduction.
We had a motion by Ms. Sanders for the table and a second by Mr. Mack.
Yeah, I second her motion to table it.
Any discussion? Being all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 15, a public hearing and adoption of LP number 2259, Council District 1. That's Mr. Ard. Did you have a clerical error? Something you wanted to?
Yeah, it's going to be a clerical error, but did you enter a public hearing on this yet?
Let's open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak for or against?
Yeah, and this is going to be just, I think we just had some typos, right, that we got to fix? Yeah.
Okay,
All it
and
is. And she can let
it'll be
her
adopted.
go ahead before
You
we
need to read
close.
it?
Yep.
Go ahead.
This is proposed ordinance 22-59, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2254, an ordinance certifying the official zoning map of the unincorporated areas of Council District 1 in the parish of Livingston entitled Livingston Parish Zoning Map, Council District Number 1, referred to in Chapter 117 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances due to a clerical error.
All right, item 16, a public hearing adoption of LP ordinance number 2260, amend section 125, part 4.
We gotta vote on that. We gotta get a motion and a vote at the.
For a public hearing? We've never done that before.
This is public hearing and adoption.
Adoption of an ordinance.
This isn't the introduction.
Okay, excuse me. I stand corrected. So, Ms.
We
Tate,
got to close the public hearing first.
do you need to read this by title, or that was it?
You did that.
I hereby close the public hearing. So it's already been introduced,
All
so
right. I'll make the motion to.
Motion by Mr.
accept
Art
the
to
clerical
adopt.
changes.
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Talbot. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, public hearing and adoption of LP 2261. I'd like to open the public hearing. Do you want to read this by title, Ms.?
16.
I'm not trying to peg on you, Ray. You can do 17 and go back to 16. Just know you just skip 16.
All right, let's go back to 16. Public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 22-60. Amend section 125-1, part 4, definitions, amend section numbers. Who requested this on the agenda?
Probably the office.
It was a recommendation from the planning department. They are going through the new chapter 125, each line by line, and they're finding like little bitty things that just need to be tweaked.
I did look through each one of them, I just didn't put it on there. So you want to read it by title, or is that?
Article 1 in general by amending section 125-1 definitions that defines the term subdivision, part 4 of the Code of Ordinances for Livingston Parish.
All right, public hearing, anyone speak for or against? None being, closed public hearing. Motion by Mr. Mr. Garlinghouse to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Mr. Ard, all in favor say aye. Aye. Mr. Garlinghouse, thanks for catching me on that one.
No worries. I'm not trying to jam you up.
Look, that's all right, I appreciate it. I'll need more help than that before this year's over,
You'll
I
get
think.
back in the groove.
Number 17, public hearing and adoption of ordinance LP ordinance number 22-61, amend section 125-1, definition removes mobile home exceptions. I read through that. It was basically taking it from 3 mobile homes to 1. I'd like to open the public hearing. Does anyone have any comments regarding for or against this ordinance? None being, close the public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Got to read it.
Ms. Hay, read by title.
This is proposed ordinance 22-61. It's an ordinance to amend chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish subdivision regulations. Article 2, mobile home parks, section 125-176, definitions as follows.
All right, motion by Mr. Ard.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Garlinghouse, second by Mr. Ard. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Can I just make one
Opposed?
comment on that?
Sure.
It's still possible to get a variance if it was a family member, something like that, right, guys? This is, I just wanted
It's
to.
always possible to get a variance.
If you can get a variance by this group.
Yeah.
Item 18, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 22-62. This ratifies the members of the Livingston Parish Council as the Board of Supervisors of the Jubilee Crossing Community Development District. Our public hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against this particular item?
Motion.
None being, close the public hearing. Ms. Sandy, would you read by title?
This is proposed ordinance 22-62, an ordinance ratifying the appointment of the members of the Livingston Parish Council as the Board of Supervisors of the Jubilee Crossing Community Development District to govern and manage said community development district and providing for certain other related matters.
All right, is there a motion in order to accept this ordinance? Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 19, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 22-64, amend section 126-4, waivers concerning commercial development. I read through this with Ms. Sandy earlier today. I wasn't real sure. Do you have any explanation? In the meantime, I'll open the public hearing. Does anyone have anything to speak for or against this? None being? Oh, did you have something? Oh, you bought it. It's like an auction.
It's like an auction. You gotta be careful.
Split up. Good. All right.
Make a move.
You can don't scratch your ear.
You want to read by title?
I will, but there, and when y'all close the public hearing, there needs to be an amendment of the section numbers.
I hereby close the public hearing.
This is proposed ordinance 22-64, an ordinance to amend Chapter 126 Commercial Development by creation of Section 126-4. That needs to be changed to 126-11. Waivers in the Code of Ordinances for Livingston Parish, and also underneath in the part of the ordinance, Chapter 126 Commercial Development, where it says 126-4, it needs to say 126-11. And then at the bottom where it's reserved, it needs to say 126-12 through 126-15.
I'll make that motion for the amendment.
Okay, that was passed out before the council meeting. Motion by Mr. Talbot, seconded by Mr. Ard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve Livingston Parish Ordinance 22-64 as amended.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Delat. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 20, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 22-65, amend section 117-50, amendments or changes to district maps for the purpose of zoning. I think who put this on there?
It should have come, I guess, from ordinance committee.
Yeah, is there I think what this does, it changes it for 365 days to pass by resolution. I believe that's what this
Yeah.
was. So I hereby open the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak for or against that? None being, I'll close the public hearing. Ms. Sandy, you want to read by title?
Yes, and I have a question for our legal counsel. LP Ordinance 22-65, an ordinance to amend Chapter 117 zoning, Section 117-50, amendments or changes to the development regulations or district map in and for the parish of Livingston. Is it okay that in the body on Part D, it says this section will become effective on the date following the signature of the parish president, but then right before the vote, it says this ordinance shall become effective upon adoption? We never know when Mr. Layton's going to sign it. He has 10 days.
So your question is?
Is that okay to leave that
Well, no,
word
it's
in
got,
there?
you telling me it's got two separate sentences that say opposite things, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, so one of them's got to come out.
Yeah, something's got to change about that. You got to pick one.
I want to make an amendment to take out the part that says come effective on adoption. We can't ever have one effective on adoption because until the parish president signs it, it's never effective. So let's take that section out.
Okay. Can we make that two motions? Because I'm going to support that amendment.
That's all I'm doing, making a motion to amend right now.
Okay.
Take out the section.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So motion by Mr. Talbot to make the amendment and change that to president's signature, seconded by
We're
Mr.
just going to pull the moment just to
section
pull the
out.
line out. Just to pull the line out.
Because it's already assumed.
Okay. And you read it by title already, Sandy? We had a motion by Mr. Talbot, seconded by Mr. Hart on this one. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None being now, we need
I'll make a motion to accept Livingston Parish Ordinance 22-65 as amended.
Okay, we're going to call for the vote on this one, Ms. Sandy, is that okay?
I'm going to discuss this.
Have a discussion real quick.
I'm not clear on this one. Y'all help me out what we're talking about.
So instead of having to do an introduction as a ordinance to fix something during the 365-day period, what we're saying is that if, let's say, for example, in Mr. Ingram's situation, map 5 was approved and he asked that it be changed to R3. By resolution of the council, the map could change from R2 to R3 in lieu of having to do it by ordinance.
With a public hearing
So
and
so
everything.
basically, the whole deal is every time there is a change to the map, it's done by resolution.
That's right.
That's basically, Brad, that was what Moody's recommendation was.
First year.
Yeah.
I agree with that, and I don't know if this is going to be appropriate, but I like to see us give this to the master planning committee, because let's just say somebody walks in from the audience and says, look, I want to rezone this from R1 to R3. And maybe not everyone around that piece of property agrees with that one person or that person there. We have no way of checking those people, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, Randy, okay, so.
I don't know how to go to the clerk of court's office to see which address is what.
Who gonna put that on the map? who's gonna put it on the agenda? The councilman in the district is gonna be the one to put the deal on the agenda. We're not, a citizen can't put a resolution on the agenda. So if somebody in Council District 8 wants to change the deal, they gotta come to you.
But I'm saying they should come to someone that's working administratively and not a legislative person. At the end, yes, we have to vote on it. I agree with that, okay? But someone, if they come, for instance, right now, I have 22 of them, okay? For 2 months, I've been trying to do it, and we're going to do it with a resolution. I understand that. But I still have a bunch waiting to change theirs, and I can't go see everybody at one time. If there's a committee or a meeting or something that they can
I think what this council, what the process that we had talked about, and maybe you're seeing a backlog that's causing the deal, and that's why I hadn't introduced my map yet, because I'm trying to make sure I don't. But ultimately, the whole purpose of the 365 was that to make it more efficient.
Yeah.
Somebody come to you, you look at it, say yes or no, put it on the agenda. Versus having to go through, because typically after December 31st, 2023, you're going to have to go to Planning Commission. They're going to have to analyze whether it's conforming or non-conforming to the, does it meet the neighboring properties? And then it's got to be advertised, they got to have a hearing, and then it comes to you for the final vote after all that stuff's done. What we tried to avoid was during the first year, having those people to have to go through that process. All we're asking them to do is
Do it by resolution.
come to the councilman and say, look, you made me this, and my neighbor's this, and this, and I want to be this.
Right.
It's your choice. If you think that what they're asking for is conforming to everybody else, you put the item on the agenda. If you don't put it on it. He can go to planning and still do it the other way. It's just an opportunity to speed the process up.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Blatt?
Look, I'd like to say too, I know a large section of my district is already zoned, but I can tell you how I do it. If someone comes to me and says, look, this classification is wrong and I have something right now, I typically go to AFA and I call them and I say, look, let's look at it together. And as long as it's not, going against what I'm trying to do for that area, or it's what's already there. If you got a bunch of houses, you know what it should be. And as long as it's that, and I'm not particularly spot zoning, because I'm not going to do that, you have to avoid that, then I allow it to happen. But I know, again, it's easier for me, but I'm not comfortable with letting anyone else decide that for the 365 except me.
Yeah, well, ultimately, you still got that thing. I just see where for a councilman it's hard to vet. She's got 100 of them, for instance, on this map right here. She's just starting. I'm just starting because I got 20. You know what I'm saying? That's going to go on throughout the year. They're going to keep getting. As soon as you adopt your map, they're going to all, every time someone's selling a piece of property or whatever, they're going to. It's just that we don't have a way to vet what's right and what's wrong, in my opinion.
They don't really either. It's going to be.
They could spend the time. They could figure it out. They could get all parties involved. But maybe I just was a thought.
Yeah. Not that it's a wrong thought even. That's
I have a question.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
All right, Mr. Sims.
Okay, so, but this opens it up for any council person to make a resolution in any district.
Well, correct, but I don't.
Don't see that happening.
I mean, no one's going to come into my district because.
Mr. Talbert, you just tried to make a motion in my district.
I'm making an amendment that makes sense because
But you were still in my district. So how would it feel if I went into your district? And so I can't support, any council person can amend anything in my district?
You'd have to get 5 votes.
I mean, if they had.
It would be the same
I'd like to answer
thing
that
the way
question,
it's set
John.
up right now. I mean, we're just trying to eliminate it taking 4 weeks to change somebody's zoning.
you still got to
That's
get
all
the
we're
vote.
trying-
You
that's
still
all
got to
we're
get the
trying
vote
to
of the majority,
accomplish
no
with
matter
this.
what. Even no matter what comes out of planning, you still got to have a vote of the majority.
Right, and I think the issue was, and why Moody recommended it, like we said earlier, I think Mr. Waskin may have said it, I forgot who it was, maybe Mr. Girlinghouse, that these documents, these zoning maps are fluid, and they're meant to change, especially during that first year, because there's going to be things that, you know, they missed whenever they were coming up with these maps. So during that first year, you're going to want a quicker method to make changes to the maps, so the maps actually reflect what's going on the property. Now, after that first year is up, then the longer process is going to start, because by that point in time, all the wrinkles have been ironed out. But during that first 1 year period, you want something kind of quicker. And you're right, when somebody in your district comes to you and says, hey, I want this changed, well, you don't just automatically add it on the agenda. You go out there, you see what the property looks like, you talk to the neighbors, you make sure everybody's on the same page.
It just makes it easier, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
Is it necessary to stipulate councilman from District 1
If
makes the
councilman from
resolution for
District
council
2
District
makes
number
put the
1?
resolution in District 5, the chances of it passing are slim and none.
Is that, Ms. Sandy, you had a question?
I do about upon the signature of the president, there's been several times that Mr. Ricks has not signed an ordinance. He's just let it
Are you still
go.
on number 20?
So
or
what do we put as the date of being effective if he does not sign it?
You on item 20?
I've never, ever had that.
If he doesn't sign it, it becomes effective on the last day he had the opportunity to sign it. That's when it becomes law.
Are you on item 20?
Drop dead date, so to speak.
Yeah. The one where it had two different effective dates.
Yeah, I think that was
Look,
19.
Here's the deal. If we don't pass D, then all those 20 changes you got, every one of them got to advertise for 30 days, go through planning. And so it's going to be much more important that you know what your map is before you submit it. I mean, I'm just saying, the D goes away December 31st, 2023. It's an opportunity to submit your map and fix mistakes rapidly.
All right, let's get back to it. Item 20, we had the public hearing, I believe, Sandy, correct? Yes. We've closed it. We had a motion.
I made the motion to amend. We got a second. We voted on that. Now I'm making a motion to adopt as amended.
Okay, is there anyone to second that motion?
I'll second
Seconded by Mr. Ard. Ms. Sandy, I'm going to need you to call for the vote on this one.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Mr. Wascom?
No.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mrs. Sandifer?
No.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Passes.
All right. Number 22, an introduction of ordinance. This is non-conforming uses of zoning defined. This was put on by Mr. Shane Mack.
Wait.
Let me make sure I got this right.
21. You did. You got it right.
22, non-conforming of
We
uses.
got to do 21 first.
Got 21.
Okay, I'm sorry. 21, public hearing and adoption
Oh,
of
my bad.
ordinance LP number 22-66, waivers in multifamily. I hereby open the public hearing. Does anyone want to speak for or against this particular ordinance? Ms. Sandy, would you read by title so everybody knows?
This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 127 multifamily development by the creation of Section 127-7 waivers in the Code of Ordinances for Livingston Parish.
All right, anyone to speak for or against? No one speaking about this. I hereby close the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Talbot to adopt the ordinance, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being. Okay, now we're going to 22, introduction of ordinance non-conforming uses of zoning defined. Mr. Shane Mack.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So we've worked hard on this ordinance, but it's not 100% complete. So we're going to need to defer this until it is complete. We'll more than likely introduce it at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Item 23, grant waiver to Mack Industries to operate gravel mine with the contingency that the waiver is for the H&H study. This was put on by Mr. Gary Talbert.
We want to defer it again. The H&H study should be completed by the next meeting, which was the initial problem. Even though they had the no rise, they weren't comfortable with the backup documentation, so we should have the H&H study by 2 weeks from now. They should.
All right. Item 24, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of section to waive the width of servitude of 60 feet for Angel Wing Cemetery located on Paraloo Road in Council District 6. Mr. McMorris.
Yeah, so I'm going to make a motion to
Second it.
Well, we
For the
got a
waiver.
motion by Mr. McLars. You want to clarify more, or are you good?
I just want to clarify, it's only 20 feet, it's existing road, it's private owned, and it's 20 feet now. It's going to be a family cemetery, and no utilities, nothing else goes with it, so.
Motion by Mr. McLars, seconded by Mr. Mack.
So they just creating it for more property for plots?
Yes, so it's going to be, there's no cemetery there now. They cut out a piece just for the family, to put their families.
And how many plots are they looking for?
They didn't put that in their maps.
Okay.
The Andrews family, they'll probably stack them on 10 to 12 people.
Yeah.
All right, I had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 25, adopt a resolution to grant a waiver for the wetlands and notification sign in addition to the number of lots on the servitude for the Cowart family minor subdivision located on Cowart Road, Holden in Council District 9. Mr. Mack.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, Mr. and Miss Coward passed away, and this is in the children have inherited the property, and they're wanting to subdivide this property. This is all family land. It's about 33 acres, and it's off of Cowart Road, and they want to subdivide it. And they're going to need some waivers in order to do that. I'd like to ask for that waiver because every single one of these is a family member of the Coward family. Their mom and dad, this is a big family, and their mom and dad wanted to leave this property to those siblings. Okay?
Second.
So they're going to need a waiver. On the wetlands, these are 3-acre lots, so you ain't got to stress out about the density. One of them might be 2, but they're big. Okay, it's 33 acres total. In addition to that, they're going to need a waiver of lots on a servitude, and then they don't want to put no sign up to subdivide the property.
Wait. So how many lots are we talking about all total, Shane?
10.
3, 4, 5. There's 10 additional?
10 total.
10.
Right now, the 33 acres
one lot
is accessed off of Cowart Road, paved it's Parish Road at the end of it, actually.
Okay, so I'm looking at track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, track 5, track 6, track 7, track 8, and all these lots in the front. So how many lots?
No, these don't count.
We got one lot. We got one 33-acre tract now.
Yeah.
Where's the servitude? I'm trying to find it.
This map may be modified just a hair, y'all. We just kind of got this together just to get this approved.
So look, I'm gonna use your argument about something that I wanted to modify the little deal where if somebody had to expand their pond, that they'd have to come back. And you said that we had done a ton of work on 125. We had spent hours and hours talking about it, that the wetlands notification was important, signs to notify the people around it was important. We passed laws about expanding the number of signs, how to put them at angles and everything else. And it's not even warm, it's not even cold in the grave yet, and we trying to waive the wetlands, the sign notification, and the number of lots on the servitude.
It's a family partition.
I mean, it's not a family. We don't have family partitions anymore.
Right, because we took that out, right?
We took it out because
but this is basically what this
reason.
is.
We took it out for this very reason, so they had to follow the same rules everybody else had. I mean, it's a 33-acre tract of land that we're going to chop up, and who knows what they're going to do, but, I mean, it's... What about the people surrounding them? How are they going to be impacted? I mean, they got wetlands. I mean...
Gary, I can answer that for you. You give me a second. This land is at the end of Cowart Road, and this is all rural property. And for years and years and years, this family has family down this road. It's pretty much all family back there, okay? And everybody is totally okay with allowing the Cowart family to subdivide this property like a family partition, and each child get a parcel. And so I want to go ahead and make the motion.
We have a second already, Mr. Randy Delat.
Okay. And
Is there anything, I've heard your argument, is there any more
I think
discussion?
I wanted to say one more thing about the pond situation. You know, my memory's bad, I can't recall, we could go back, we could research, and we could talk about that more, but cases are different. In this case, I think it's justified.
All right, Ms. Sandy, you got to call for the vote on this one, please?
Mr. Talbert?
No.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
No.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
No.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
1, 2.
Motion carries. All right, item 26, request for waiver of subdivision 117-294, setbacks and wishes to revert back to the setbacks when subdivision was approved. Mr. Randy Delat.
I had, Miss Sandy, you just handed me the paper. I don't know what I did with it. You got Okay, basically, I have a 25-foot front setback, 20-foot rear setback, and 5-foot side setback. This subdivision was approved with these setbacks, and since we changed the rules, we now have to change, he has to go back up there because we changed the rules, or we can do the same thing we did to Mr. Ingram and leave what's already grandfathered in.
So you're telling me that if a subdivision is designed, they changing the setbacks? Was it designed and built, or what?
No, they haven't built anything on it yet because we went, after they got approved, and we went, I'm gonna say a year later, 6 months later, 9 months later, whatever it was, and we changed the setbacks on them.
Okay, so that's the same situation. I mean, the exact same situation where somebody gets something approved and then the rules change, they've got to modify their pond, and we make them go through the whole submission process again. So, and we tried to pass an ordinance to allow them from not doing that. So they changed the rules, and now we want to waive the rule change for this individual when in essence other people were making them go back through the process and start over.
Did we make anybody go back through the
We
process?
hadn't made anybody yet,
Yeah,
because
right.
we had the opportunity to eliminate that situation and we chose to ignore it.
Okay. Well, this is 5 lots, let's see. Authorized JW District on
1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3, 4, 7,
You got a year, you got a
10?
resolution to change it, so change it.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 lots. I'm going to make a motion that the original setbacks they were approved with by planning department, that's what we adopt and let them do.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have a motion by Mr. Delat, seconded by Mr. King.
Yeah.
Any discussion? I think we've had most of it. Call for the vote, Ms. Sandy.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
All right, item 27 is a library board appointment, Mr. Gary Talbert.
You know, I brought this up at the last meeting and kind of passed over, so I'm gonna bring it up again. And of course, I've sent the information to Mr. Brad Cassio for review. Basically, if y'all go to, let's see which one's the home rule charter. If you go to the third deal, the third page, which is the home rule charter section of this thing, prohibitions on the council, it says, no council member shall serve on a board or commission of parish government having administrative or policymaking authority unless the ordinance or state law creating such board or commission specifies that one or more members of the council shall serve on such board or commission. If you go to state law that talks about library boards, it says that the the police jury president, and in our form of government would be the parish president, has the ability to appoint an ad hoc member. Mr. Brick's been parish president for 11 years. He hadn't appointed an ad hoc member yet. Miss Sandiford serves on the library board. If you'll look at one of the pages, when I was talking to Ms. Sandifer about it, I sent her a text. I said, do you realize you're going to have to resign from the library board? I do. Okay, just wanted you to be aware. I'm making my decision on my vote for. Are you excited? Thanks, Gary. I'm looking forward to serving in high capacity and thrilled to serve our president. I said, I know you'll do a great job. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to help. So when I'm talking to Ms. Sandifer to see how I'm going to vote on whether I'm going to vote for her, I tell her, you've got to resign. She acknowledged that she had to resign. And now they've determined that because she was not an elected official, she had to resign. But the Home Rule Charter says nothing about being elected. It says council person. So if you're a member of the council, you can't serve on a board that has advisory, or what was the other term that they used in the Home Rule Charter?
So what is your pleasure?
I mean, we need to appoint somebody in Ms. Sandifer's place. Ms. Sandifer needs to resign, or we need to remove her from the board. And I think Mr. Cascio will tell you that what I've asked him is correct. The Attorney General has ruled that at a dual office holder position, it does not apply. However, the Attorney General has not looked at our Home Rule Charter. And if you looked at past opinions that he's given, he specifies under certain situations that they don't apply to, that he doesn't look at certain things. Our Home Rule Charter specifically does not allow for a council member to serve on that board. Because, trust me, when the vote came down on the book situation, I wasn't happy with the way my member voted.
Okay.
And I was looking at removing her and appointing myself, and I was told, you can't do that.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Okay, Mr. Mack.
I was just reading what Gary pointed out on the prohibitions, and I wanted to get the attorney's opinion, or maybe some of you councilmen's opinion on this. I mean, it basically says, like what he said, such board or commission specifies that one or more members of the council shall serve on such board or commission if authority, it says unless the ordinance or state law creating a such board commission specifies that one or more members of the council shall serve. I mean, my thought is being it says that, if we so choose to leave her on that board, then we could introduce and adopt an ordinance that allows her to be a board member.
State law doesn't allow us to make that appointment.
But the Home Rule Charter says that which was adopted by the people. It basically, I mean, if I'm interpreting this incorrectly, I'd like for somebody to help me out here. But it basically says no council member shall serve on a board or commission of the parish government having administrative policy or administrative or policy making authority unless the ordinance or state law creating such board or commission specifies that one or more members of the council shall serve on such board or commission. So my thought is if we could kind of table this and think about it, but if the council felt like that it was best for Livingston Parish people to leave her on that board, then we could introduce an ordinance and then adopt an ordinance and leave her on that board.
Okay, I would like to say one thing as well. I think Ms. Sandifer has mentioned to me that she knew she was going to get off or resign when she becomes an elected official, elected by the people in March, which at that time, if she is elected, she would probably mention to me that she would resign. And if for some reason she doesn't get elected, then I'm sure whoever runs against her would probably put someone else or might even keep her, I don't know. But either way, come March, that problem won't even be here anymore. So, now, hold on, one more thing. And you made the comment, and right now, she is currently on this board, and she is currently on the library board. That's a fact, correct? She serves on that board, and they've had votes on the library board, I guess, that she's voted, I would assume. So her vote counted as a board member previously.
Just because somebody is currently a board member doesn't mean that they're properly currently.
Okay, exactly, I understand. And that doesn't mean that they're not either.
Oh, it does mean they're not.
So what you're saying is that her vote when she was on the board didn't count?
I'm not saying it didn't count. I'm just saying that she's not properly a board member, according to our Home Rule Charter.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Yes, Ms. Sandifer.
I do know that I need to resign when I'm elected to this seat on March 25th. that was the reason that I responded the way that I did. I'm very aware of that. In the past, Bill Wheat, it's my understanding, the same thing happened, and the way that the parish attorney opinioned on that was Mr. Wheat was allowed to serve on the council and the board. I don't know what board it was, but because it was not a paid board. Also, can you tell me why you were told that you can't remove your member from the board?
He wasn't told that he couldn't remove his member. He was told that he couldn't appoint himself because of this subsection C.
Earlier in the conversation, you stated that you were told that you could not remove your board member.
Appoint himself.
Couldn't remove to appoint me. I could
okay.
remove her with cause, but I couldn't remove her and appoint myself.
Okay.
And that was the whole purpose for making the removal. Look, I understand your position. The Home Rule Charter doesn't allow, it doesn't specify whether you're elected, appointed, or whatever. It says council members.
I'm just telling you what the opinion was for the last time that this happened.
We've got a parish attorney that we pay good money to every month who interpreted the Home Rule Charter.
Okay, let's do this. Then let's do this. Let's opinion the Attorney General on it and table it until we get that opinion back. They have a board attorney.
Mr. Talbert, hold on one second. Mr. Girlinghouse, go ahead.
I think the underlying issue is here, whether it's in now or March. Effectively, we are the governing body over the library board. So if someone goes awry with cause, we remove the library board, we have appointment. And the issue is at hand, you are on a board with people that you have the authority to fire. And I don't care if it's 2 minutes, 2 months, or 2 years, that should not be the case. And it's in my personal opinion, when you took that seat, you should resign from the library board because that's clean. There are people out there where you should not be sitting on a board where you're sitting beside somebody and they go sideways with you and you can be like, well, you're gone tomorrow. And that's, and I'm not saying you will do that, but that's the reality of the situation that you're in right now. I think it would be clean for you to resign.
Let me say, I would like to respond to that. I have not appointed anybody else on that board. I do not have authority over anybody else on that board.
You have authority over everyone on that board if you can put cause in place.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I can resign if that's your pleasure here, Mr. Talbert. Is that what you wish?
Well, that's what the rules call for.
I think he kind of pleasures it.
I will respectfully resign as a library board member, Livingston Parish Library Board of Control member, at the request of Gary Talbert. And while we're along that, I would like to go ahead and reappoint to my spot since this is already open.
Well, it was advertised, so, it's not like, it's advertised, so you have...
I do.
So make a motion to accept resignation and to appoint someone.
All at one time, though.
Okay, I make a motion to accept resignation of the Livingston Parish Library Board of Control.
Your motion is accepted by Jeff Hard. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to appoint Larry Davis in my spot to the Livingston Parish Board of Control.
Second by Mr. Hard. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Davis, are you in the audience?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Here we go, Larry. Yeah, come up and tell us about it.
Councilman job, but we follow the rules, I guess, and I look forward to following your leadership going forward, Councilwoman Sandifer.
Thank you very much, Larry.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Very good, very good.
We have more people like her serves on these boards. Be right, huh?
Now, while that's open, is there anyone else that has library board appointments that are resignations or...
I don't have none on that board.
Reappointments you want to make on that board?
We all do, but
Now's
we
a
don't.
good chance. It's been advertised.
I don't.
Gary?
Any other openings?
Gary?
There's no openings.
Do we want to discuss possibly
Expansion?
making the expansion where every councilman has an appointment to that?
Well, yeah, we just got to do a resolution.
I mean, because they're about to go in session, so if we.
Absolutely.
We've already left the local, we've already left the local option to go by. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know, is this a, Shane, you can answer that, I can't, is this a fiscal session or a regular?
This is a fiscal, I think.
I think it's physical.
Yeah, so they got a limited number of bills, so you're probably not gonna get anybody to do it on this one. But you could take under advisement to pass a resolution asking the Livingston Parish delegation to expand, and then they could do another local option on next year, and it would be very easy to get done.
Yeah, and I've already spoken with Representative Mincy about putting it on.
So how many board members do they have now?
7.
So they need to add 2 more. You want to make a motion, we'll pass a resolution, and they can already proceed when the time comes.
I'll make the motion to expand, ask the Livingston Parish delegation to, or we can ask specific, you said you talked to Buddy about sponsoring it?
I did.
And I don't think he can do it this year,
No,
but
you'll have our approval.
I'll ask.
If it can be done, he'll do it.
I don't know. Has anybody talked to Ms. Hodges? Does she have all her pre-bills filed? Has she used all hers? I mean, look, why don't we make the motion to ask the Livingston Parish delegation
Well, that's what.
to look at it instead of designating one person, and then if somebody's got an opening,
To
they can
add 2 board members.
to add 2 board members to the
to
Livingston
9.
Parish Board of Control.
We've got a motion by Mr. King, second
second.
motion by second by Mr. King.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. 28 board reappointment or resignations. A, Fire Department District Number 5. Ms. Sandifer.
I'm coming. Give me just a second. Let me flip through my pages here.
Went.
Yes. So I make a motion to reappoint Robert Went, and do I do it one by one?
Yeah, you do both. You can do both.
Do them both? Okay, so I make a motion to appoint Robert Went and Wesley Sorensen.
A second by Mr. McMorris, motion made by Ms. Sandifer. Any discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item B, Fire Protection District Number 7, Mr. McMorris.
Yes, I'd like to reappoint Jeff Fowler, Christopher Clark, and Justin Wheat.
Sandy, you got those names, Ms. Sandy? Motion by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. Talbert. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item C, Gravity Drainage District.
Excuse me, John.
I'm sorry,
John, hold on before you get too far.
We had Chris Kenshin on here as your
Which was your
appointment.
appointment.
But I don't see it on here.
Yeah.
It's on 4. It's on the first one. The one we missed.
Fire District 5.
It's okay, but I do know Chris Kenshin needs, but it's not on my
Not
agenda.
on mine either.
It's not on
It's not on
No,
mine.
it's not on the agenda.
Okay, also, I'd like to, I can't make the motion, but would somebody make a motion to appoint
I'll make a
Chris?
motion to appoint Chris.
A motion by Scooter to appoint
Reappoint
Chris
Chris,
Kenshin.
yeah.
Second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Scooter, for catching
You're
that.
welcome.
I knew Chris, I wanted it, but I just kept waiting for it to come up, and it was not on here. Item 28C, Gravity Drainage District Number 2 resignation. This was placed on here by Maurice Scooter Keene.
Oh, yeah, Matt Hughes has been in my appointment for a little over a year, and he's gotten extremely busy, and so he has resigned. He's submitted his letter of resignation, and I'm going to make in 2 weeks. I want to defer my appointment for 2 weeks.
All right, we have someone here that filled out a card to speak on this particular item. Mr. Brian Clemens?
Brian Clemens, 304-322 Robbie Lee. I serve on Gravity Drainage District 2. This last Monday night, we had some allegations made that board members were aware of harassment of one of our employees. This employee is perceived as special needs, which makes it a federal issue. 4 of the Gravity Board members were implicated, as well as our management. That makes 75% of our organization being implicated in this wrongdoing. I'd ask that you would put off for at least 2 months any new appointment until we can resolve the situation. I have already reached out to the EEOC, and we will have to address it. My concern is we can't investigate ourselves because 75% of us have been named.
So what you're saying is that somebody
Allegations of
accused you
harassment.
guys on the board of harassing the...
They accuse us of being aware of ongoing harassment. and the person is, quote-unquote, according to the ADA, perceived as special needs. They don't have to necessarily have a document saying they've been diagnosed. They just have to be perceived in public opinion as being special needs. So with the allegations, there's some specific things we have to do, and that is, number one is investigation.
So what you want me to do is put off an appointment so that
60
that
days.
appointment doesn't taint what's going on?
Let us solve what we got going on. That's what I'm asking.
I don't know if I'm okay with that.
Miss,
Go ahead and speak.
Go ahead, Mr. Delat.
I know that this board, this body has subpoena powers, and they can subpoena and make those investigations, and you can do it as the whole board, or you can do it as a committee. That's in the Home Rule Charter. Also, in the past, the sheriff was willing to investigate some of these things for parish government. That's just your call at a
I
later
think
time.
did you just find out about this?
Let's
Well, you had a motion to accept the resignation. Did you want to go?
What you want to do?
You want to accept the
Yeah, I'm
resignation?
accept the resignation.
Is there a motion?
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
He wants to defer 2 weeks, making his appointment.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer 2 weeks,
you
and if I
want?
want to defer it 2 more weeks, then I'll do it then.
Okay, so the motion is to accept the resignation.
Right.
Let's pass that first.
Okay, that's fine.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. King, Mr. Garlinghouse. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thanks, Matt, I appreciate it.
Now, you want to just wait and bring up the other appointment when you're ready?
It'll
Okay.
just be deferred.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. 29, adopt resolution to add the following roads to the road priority list for consideration. Council District 3, Jim Mill Court, Cypress Garden subdivision. Is that you, Scooter?
That's me.
All right. Can we just do all these in one, Brad? Miss Sandy, okay. And then, so the list in front of you, roads located in Council District 5 as follows. There's about, 15 of these, 20 of these? So, do we have to read them by the time?
There's
Or can we
30.
just use this as
You can just say the list, I think.
the list that's in item 29?
The 30 roads.
30 roads, okay.
I'll second Mrs. Sandifer's motion.
The 30 roads in
All
what?
right, you got a motion. Oh, you made the motion, Ms. Sanford?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Talbot seconds it?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 30, committee reports.
Jesus.
Finance.
No report, we didn't meet. It'd be
Item-
in, probably April, right?
Item B, ordinance committee
March.
report.
Yeah, we cleaned up some language in, was it 125, I think? And the major discussion was over Kratom, which we had got some good input there. We deferred it in order for the next, to the next meeting or to the next ordinance committee to go further, to go on further. I will probably speak in the audience from that. The next.
Okay,
ordinance.
so
There was a lot of literature given to everyone on this kratom that probably be good for everybody to read up on it, look on it.
And also have duplicate stuff, like some other things in the back.
Do you feel like at the next meeting we have more ready?
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely have,
This is going to be for introduction.
It may take a month.
we'll definitely have the more people. We had some really good people come and speak on the issue. And I know I will follow up with a couple of the speakers who came in. And there's a lot of information, a lot of disinformation. But I think something needs to be done to some degree, you know.
This is the thing for a while.
All right, Tracy, I'm sorry to be talking. Mr. Talbert's passing his stuff out. I wish he'd have waited. Go ahead.
I don't think most people listen when they're pretending to.
I had a question for the ordinance committee.
ahead.
Hey, so could we get somebody here from law enforcement, like
They're coming.
Jason?
They are. They gonna-
Look, guys, I can sit here all day long and tell you, hey, kratom does me wonders, right? It's the best thing on the street. But guess what? We need some feedback, because you go back and read everything that's on paper from the FDA, it's not good. But we need some, I don't think we as a group
I
can make
think
a
it's-
decision for that, right?
I think it would be my recommendation that the next ordinance committee has a night just for this, and then because there is a ridiculous amount of information that this council is going to have to sort through to make any decision, whether it's, even to make no decision, you need to process all this information, depend whatever we decide going forward.
Thank you.
So whoever is the next ordinance meeting, whenever it is, the sheriff and the coroner have both requested to come and speak along with their narcotics detectives. We just never really got to them because so many other people were speaking at the ordinance committee. There were a couple of the narcotics detectives that were here. So, but the sheriff and the coroner both were out of town and said if we could wait to the next meeting, they would love to come and speak on it.
Are they going to come and speak to the council or to the ordinance committee?
Until we're actually doing something here, there's really no reason for them to come here. I mean, right now, we're trying to figure out in the ordinance committee what we're going to do.
All right, and also, let me say, I guess I could appoint an ordinance committee tonight if y'all insist. Would y'all be okay with me waiting until the next council meeting to appoint an ordinance?
No.
Whatever you decide.
Y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to delay this by 2 weeks, but it'll get done. I mean, y'all okay? Okay.
We'll give you time to do what you need to do.
And then on the ordinance committee, we have these two ordinances that are being introduced tonight. Mr. Talbot just passed out. Can you give us a quick synopsis of what this is?
The Greenhouse will.
Or somebody, because I'd like for the public just to be aware of what ordinances we're,
Let's see here.
one is.
Okay, so one was a multifamily. I think we mimicked the, I think it's the driveway entrance to go with like a larger neighborhood. Basically, we changed like lots to units.
Houses or lots to units.
Lots to units.
All right, and the other one is a sign of the dead-end road?
Yeah, that one is, we currently require like 2 signs put up in a V formation to where it can be seen from both, but it's not applicable when it's the subdivision that's being developed or being requested is at a dead-end road. So we're just requiring them to have one that faces straight out.
And that makes sense. So, Ms. Sandy, you need to read these by title?
I'm just receiving it. I didn't have it in my hands till just a second. It wasn't given
I
to
just
me.
got it too.
Method? That's in your district, huh? Method, Jason?
Which one do you want to do? I don't know.
We'll go with the multifamily development ordinance to amend Chapter 127, multifamily developments.
That's all it says, an ordinance to amend Chapter 127, multifamily development. It'll be 2303 with the public hearing on January 26th at 6 p.m.
And then the other is orders to amend Chapter 125, Code and Ordinances, notification sign requirements follows. Yeah, you got it.
This will be ordinance 2304. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish Subdivision Regulations, Article 11, variances by creating Section 125-140 notification sign requirement as follows, and the public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on January 26th.
All right, so motion or ordinance have been introduced.
Yep.
All right, we'll call for the public hearing at the next meeting and adoption. Let's see. Well, I guess the next thing would be the district attorney's report and executive session?
That's correct.
Okay, before we go into executive session, I would like to make a comment just in case everybody's not here in the audience. I did get a little bit sidetracked and a little bit slow getting started. My first chairman to the council meeting. I will tighten it up a little more. I appreciate y'all support me, and I'll do a better job. I just want y'all to know that.
John,
I got a question.
Okay.
What's the executive session on?
Okay, I will find that out in just a second. I just,
a little hint, this little marker right here. Keep you
yeah,
on
I've
track.
got it bound. Thank you, Tracy, for helping me,
Keep you on
Randy.
track,
Say, look,
brother.
it's a lot harder than it looks.
It's a lot harder.
It's a lot harder. So, whenever you're sitting here watching,
I
a
would've
lot
been
of
lost
the
without
the
this.
mistakes are obvious. But when you're doing it, it's not so obvious.
I'll
It's
make it a
harder.
little tighter. I'll
Yeah,
just let
it's
you. Do
hard.
you have something to say?
What I want to let the audience know, or you can let the audience know, that's the last item on the agenda.
Uh-huh.
And we can't take any action in executive session, so I just want to
Right.
know
They don't
that.
have to stick
But
around.
we- if we come-
We
if we
can't
come-
say what we did anyhow.
But we can take action when
We'll
we
come
come out.
back out.
Okay,
So-
don't, wait a second, don't we have to tell, do we talk?
You have to read out loud what we're going in there to discuss
Okay.
about.
Can I read out why we're going to executive session?
You wanna do
That's
that,
all we can
Brad?
Yeah, sure. I've earned my keep, right?
Yeah.
It's the United States District Court, Middle District of Louisiana, Air Products Blue Energy LLC versus Livingston Parish Government, Livingston Parish Council, and Jason Ard, Civil Action 22809 SDDRLB, case number 322 CV00809 SDDRLB.
Do we need to read section B?
We're doing both of them in executive session?
But we can't do it in executive session, we're going to discuss it, aren't we?
Well, it won't be an
Yeah, so
introduction.
B's not, that's all we gotta do is talk about A and then go.
Yeah,
executive
A-
session.
the thing I just read out loud is for executive session. B is when we come back.
Okay, B's when we come back? Okay.
Motion to go into executive session.
Real quick, we're going into executive session where we got to talk about personnel or private litigation matters, and then we'll do that privately. You're welcome to stay, or you're welcome to go home, but we will come back and take action if need be. Motion to go in executive session?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, seconded by Mr. Ard.
That's good.
Write it down.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Channel 17, proudly serving the Florida parishes.
Ready, Scooter?
I'd like to make a motion to re-enter the regular meeting.
Motion by Mr. Ard, seconded by Mr. King, to enter out of executive session back into the regular council meeting. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Any opposed?
Can I ask Mr. Brad a question?
Hey, no action was taken back.
Yeah, and to let you know, no action was taken in executive session, as you cannot.
Can I ask Brad a question? Mr. Casio, could you review the ruling and the current ordinance and tell us whether that ordinance is capable of staying intact as it is, or does it need to be modified to solve any other problems that might come out of this ruling besides the lake bottom
Yeah,
situation?
I'll take the exact ruling and compare it to the specificities in our ordinance and see where it.
I mean, because if we're gonna leave it in place for futures, let's make sure we've addressed every possible reason that it could be dismissed, and then try to resolve those matters if that's the intent of the council, instead of leaving something in place that we can't ever win in court. That's all I'm saying.
All right, item 31B is to introduce, the introduction of an ordinance. We're not going to introduce that ordinance. It's going to be pulled and removed from the introduction tonight, so therefore it will not even be public here, heard, or adopted on of next week, so that ordinance is dead.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Delat to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Ard. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No, I
Motion
got to
carried.
work on Friday.